I have been slogging through the messages I've received in YouTube, and I'm still about 100 behind. So if you sent me a message and I haven't replied, that is probably why it's taking a lot of time. One of the messages that I received asked a question regarding permanent magnets, and I didn't want to make any more videos about free energy. But answering the question I thought would be a good idea, because not only do people who believe in free energy address the issue in that question, but there's a lot of people out there who know free energy is bullshit, but they still have a question regarding permanent magnets. A lot of videos out there that promote free energy claim that a permanent magnet kind of sucks up electricity, and then when you use a permanent magnet, that electricity, that energy that the magnet sucks up, is used. They call it an analogy of a fuel cell. They say they can use magnets as fuel. I remember, I guess it was 20 years ago, I was anchored off of Santa Catalina Island at Little Harbor, I guess it was, behind a reef that was acting as a breakwater. And I was on anchor watch because if the anchor slipped, I'd be right on the beach. And I was reading this book by Isaac Asimov titled Far as Human Eye Can See. And a lot of what is in this book stuck in my mind, and I pondered it not only then, but over the years. There's a whole lot of fascinating facts and information that Isaac Asimov wrote about, and the section that I wanted to quote here is in regard to using permanent magnets as some kind of fuel. And I'm going to have to read the whole bloody thing, I'm sorry to say. And I am quoting Isaac Asimov in his essay titled Forcing the Lines, which I think is a fucking awesome title to be talking about magnetic fields. Forcing the Lines, Chapter 4. At the time Faraday worked all of this out, the law of conservation of energy had still not been established as the unbreakable fundamental rule it has now considered to be. In hindsight, though, with this law in mind, we might ask where the electrical current comes from when a magnet is pushed into a solenoid. Is the magnetic energy slowly being converted into electrical energy? With every surge of electric current, does the magnet weaken slightly until finally it is totally unmagnetic piece of iron with an all-magnetic energy bled off into electricity? The answer to that is no. And I appreciate Isaac Asimov backing me up in my last 20 videos on the subject. The magnet retains its full strength. No matter how often and how continuously the magnet is pushed into the solenoid and taken out, it doesn't weaken a bit. It can produce, in theory, an infinite number of surges of current without any loss to itself. But surely it is impossible that we are getting something from nothing, isn't it? Absolutely! I mean, that absolutely is what good old Dr. Asimov wrote. Absolutely, and we aren't getting something from nothing. He then goes on to point out that the act of pushing a solenoid around an iron core is what is providing the energy to create electricity, or the act of spinning a wire around another armature or something, or the armature spinning around a wire core, That spinning is where the energy is coming from, not the magnetic field. So the answer to the question, and I wish I had written down the guys or girls, whatever, the person who asked the question, the answer is no. When you make a permanent magnet, yes, you can use a very strong electric current to make that permanent magnet. And what that does is all that electricity, that energy, is converted into kinetic energy inside the magnet, and I made a video on that, to align atoms in the same direction. And in ferromagnetic material, there's domains within that metal that all align together, which makes your strong fields of force. You can, in theory, unalign a magnet if you tap it. That imparts kinetic energy, which is converted into heat, and misalign the atoms. That was a Fey gesture. Fey. I'm sorry, where was I? Yes, the kinetic energy of, if you smack that magnet, kinetic energy will knock some of those atoms out of alignment, and of course that is heat. You could lose a magnetic strength that way. But just making an induction of an amateur magnetic wire around a magnetic core, no, that is not fuel. It is not being used up.